In the eyes of tourists, Egypt is a fairy tale land of pyramids, coral reefs and eternal sunshine. A land that, in spite of the ongoing turmoil in the country, many are keen to visit. Yet this colourful world takes on a far grimmer look through the eyes of Egypt's children of the streets. According to the charity SOS Children's Village, there are in fact 1.7 million orphans in Egypt. Approximately 13% of Egyptian children are born underweight. Egypt's children and orphans from poor families have limited, if any, access to health and education services. The number of unwanted and abandoned children grows every year, especially in large urban areas such as Cairo or Alexandria. Government centres are incapable of providing the necessary care. These children's only hope of a normal existence lies with the orphanages and care homes run by the Coptic Catholic Church.
Children demand care and attention, not just education. They need all-encompassing care.
There are over 8 million children under 5 years of age in Egypt. The widespread poverty, the large number of women who die during childbirth, divorces that leave children from previous unions abandoned, all lead to an ever-growing number of Egyptian orphans and street children. The situation is further aggravated by the dominant patriarchal model of Muslim society that gives women few rights, their whole world to all intents and purposes subservient to the wishes of men. Furthermore, these laws apply to Muslim and Christian women alike. In the 4th chapter of the Quran, the Surah An-Nisa, verse 34, deems men to be in charge of women by what Allah has given one over the other, and so expect wives to be devoutly obedient towards men. A man can divorce his wife by simply repeating, "You are divorced," 3 times. Following such a divorce, it is the man who keeps the greater part of the estate. Moreover, a divorced woman bringing up her children on her own is seen as inferior by society at large.
A lonely woman with children, widowed or divorced, or abandoned by her husband, ends up in a very difficult situation. She has to approach numerous associations and churches in order to obtain the basic necessities of life for herself and for her children. Lonely women find it well nigh impossible to survive in society, for they receive so very little.
Egypt has no adoption laws. Egyptian Sharia law, however, stipulates the kafala, a notion that adults adopting a child become its guardians, not new parents. The adopted child is denied any inheritance rights or to carry their guardian's name. This law unfortunately applies both to Christian marriages and orphans alike. As a consequence, hundreds of children are denied a normal life, home and family. These abandoned children end up in state-run orphanages. in dramatic circumstances. They are deprived of professional medical and psychological care and undernourished. Left to themselves, they are denied the chance of a normal intellectual, emotional and social development. Photos of the yard of a state orphanage in Cairo clearly show the conditions under which they live and how they are neglected by the workers. A totally different picture emerges at church-run orphanages and oratories.
The children are from Alexandria, from the south, from Cairo, from Aswan. They are all Christians, Catholics, all from very poor families. Some have no parents and no home, which is why we take them in. We take charge of them from elementary school until they finish secondary school, obtain their school leaving certificate and can go to work.
Among our dependents, 5 are at university, 11 at various secondary schools, 12 in the senior classes of middle schools, 10 in elementary schools. 1 has already completed her studies, whilst 2 will complete their university course this year, majoring in tourism. We try to help them, also to find work.
I am 20 years old. This is my last year at university. I study archaeology and history. I've been here for 11 years. My sister is also here. I was brought up here, I grew up here, and this is my home.
The Coptic Catholic Church runs 25 schools in the region of Upper Egypt. Many are dedicated to the poorest of the poor, the intent to provide quality education to those who have lost one or both parents. With no place to call home, the Coptic Catholic schools and foundations also take care of the orphaned children during the summer, allowing a small measure of holiday and rest.
We take poor children to these holiday camps for 3 weeks, each group for a week. That gives us a grand total of 630 children, girls and boys.
Running orphanages and care homes for children is expensive. There isn't enough money to maintain the centres and pay the taxes imposed by local authorities. Far more children would receive care were it not for those cost burdens. Funding comes from various charitable organisations, including Aid to the Church in Need. Unwanted and abandoned by their parents, Egypt's Muslim and Christian orphans, housed in these church-run centres, receive a roof over their heads, food, but above all else, love. Sadly, however, once outside the orphanage, today neither the Christian children nor their teachers feel safe by virtue of their declared faith.
The situation is not peaceful. When the children go to school, they are harassed. When we work outside, they mock us. When they see us with the cross, they revile us. To avoid the unpleasant provocations on the street, we have begun traveling to school by taxi.
The tension became even more dramatic between 2012 and 2013 and continues to this day. Islamic extremists intensified their attacks against Egyptian Christians. They are devastating churches, entire Christian villages, hospitals, and what has never happened before, Christian schools and orphanages. Notwithstanding the increased tensions between the religious communities, as a consequence of the violence perpetrated by Muslim extremists, Christians seek to be a living witness of their faith.
Who can we talk to? To nobody. Or rather, we talk to our Lord. We've got nobody but Him. He is bigger than them.